take a look at her arm. In her last 12 quarters of action, Caitlin Clark has only made 8 non-technical free throws. They appear to despise her. Right now, new video from the Fever's victory over the Chicago Sky is circulating. Furthermore, it isn't emphasizing a highlight reel dime, a crossover, or a logo 3. It displays what appear to be fingernail scratches all over Caitlin Clark's forearm. The kind of marks you get when someone is physically unable to keep up with her and is clutching, clawing, and holding on for dear life.
Game that DiJonai Carrington had circled on her calendar and wanted the world to see happen tonight. And how did it turn out? Caitlin Clark had 37 points, 10 assists, 8 threes, and we got this lovely reaction. But I want to point out something that happened in the game. Some of the Chicago Sky, including DiJonai Carrington, to me, were looking for a fight this game. And Caitlin, instead of talking about it in the media, just did it with her basketball skills, and this is one of the plays that happened.
Indiana can regain the lead. Clark, another step back three, yes! And a little bit of passion afterwards.
You love it. This is...
So DiJonai purposely runs into Clark, and then Clark just waves her off. Just waves her off. You can tell that Clark was just over that storyline and with that rivalry.
This is the point that should actually make everyone uncomfortable when they see it again. Very few of them were called. Play after play, defenders are all over Clark, grabbing arms, jerseys, and nails as if the player with the deepest mark would win a prize. Additionally, the whistle remains totally silent. This is not an isolated incident resulting from a single chippy possession. For weeks now, a pattern has been gradually emerging in plain sight. And it's expressed in the harshest words possible in the tweet that started this whole discussion.
It took the ref 30 business days to call this foul on Caitlin Clark. But of course they want to demonize Clark and be like, she was overreacting. She's the most fouled player in the league. What are we doing? Why was the whistle not blown right here? Grabbing her, blow the fucking whistle, man. And then she had to do all this again to finally put her hand up. Like, what are we doing, man? Enrique's ugly ass falling down all over the place, foul call. You look at Asia Wilson, foul call, but it takes the ref looking direct. Look, why is her hand not up? Takes the ref 30 business days to call this. But let's demonize Clark. No, all these players fear Caitlin Clark. They fear for their lives when this woman is on the court and they have to hack her, tackle her. Odyssey Sims tackle Clark in this game and everything because she's the 11th best guard and we're going to guard her this way though. Like, you guys are fucking ridiculous, man. It's like the refs just want Clark to get beat up and hacked. These people just want her to just play through it. And it's like, it's not part of the game to get fouled and have to play through it, man.
In her last 12 quarters of action, Caitlin Clark has only made 8 non-technical free throws. 8 out of 12 basketball quarters. That's not a typo, nor is it an excuse based on a small sample size. That's almost 3 whole basketball games in which the league's most fouled and violently punished guard has hardly been called to the free throw line.
I'm about to show you 10 missed calls last game. That Caitlin Clark got fouled and the ref never called it. There's a moving screen. She's moving all over the place. Hits her with the shoulder, like always. Look at this. Fouls her, holding her, and fouls the crap out of her. No foul. Look at this. She got fouled the whole game. They didn't call this a foul. Look at this one. Like, her body's all over her. How is that not a foul? Look at this one. Cardosa swipes her once, twice, just tries to grab her. Can you imagine being fouled the entire game? Every time you hit half court, every time you dribble, every time you drive. Look at this. Sheldon clearly has her hand on Caitlin Clark's shoulder when she's shooting it. They even showed a replay. It's exactly where I thought it was. Watch this. Her arm is on Caitlin Clark's shoulder the whole time.
It's easy to scroll past a statistic like that without letting it land. So take a moment to consider what that figure actually implies. In this sport, free throws are allowed because the rules state that a specific amount of contact is prohibited. It's not a sign that Clark is suddenly playing cleaner basketball or drawing less contact when a player who gets hit, grabbed, and shoved as frequently as she does only makes a few trips to the line in 12 consecutive quarters. It's an indication that the whistle has stopped blowing on her, particularly at the same moment when the physical abuse she's receiving has intensified. In fact, it appears that the harder these defenders play her, the less protection she receives in return. This is nearly the exact reverse of how officiating is meant to work in any competitive sport.
For this WNBA player to be suspended after she intentionally pokes Caitlin Clark in the eye, you can see here she misses the ball with an open palm and then hones it into this little sharp pointy hand and jabs it right into her eyeball one more time, right in the eye. And believe it or not, she didn't even get a foul for this. It was so intense as well that as the game progressed, you could tell she was getting a black eye just from the hit. There is no doubt in my mind that what this WNBA player did was 100% intentional, and honestly, I think it should have a huge suspension as well.
So, let's be truthful about what's truly taking place on the floor each week. Some players are using whatever is left in the toolbox if they can't get in front of her, remain in front of her off the dribble, or contest her without fouling the traditional way. The fingernails are the next choice if they can't poke her in the eye and get away with it, and if a full-on tackle to the ground is too blatant for even a sympathetic official to overlook, a little grasp here, a scratch there, small enough to go unnoticed in real time, but noticeable enough on replay the following morning that you begin to connect an extremely painful series of dots. It's no longer just defense. At that point, it begins to appear as an attempt to exhaust her, annoy her into making a mistake, or worse, physically harm her to the point where she is unable to continue harming opposition teams on a nightly basis.
This wasn't called a foul. This wasn't called a flagrant foul. There was no whistle blown on this play. This play never went under review. This play has absolutely nothing to do with basketball. As you can see, the ball is all the way over there. This is just someone getting mauled. The WNBA is stupid and is not a serious organization.
And this is precisely the point at which the statistic regarding her free throws becomes crucial, since it's more than simply a figure that people are tossing around on the internet for dramatic effect or to generate interest throughout the league. Caitlin Clark is the player that absorbs the most hard fouls, tackles that are never whistled, off-ball holding, and contact away from the ball while receiving the least amount of protection. She absorbs hit after hit that would be instantly deemed a foul by any impartial observer watching in real time. Then, as if nothing had occurred, she gets up, jogs back on defense, and repeats the same process on the very next possession. There is a degree of resilience in it that is nearly lost in the cacophony of the discussion around it, since most players who encounter that degree of so-called physicality would begin to play cautiously, avoid contact, and retreat from the drive in order to protect themselves. None of that has been done by her. She has started playing more aggressively into it, targeting the same areas of the floor where grabbing occurs most frequently.
These are plays we've seen from DiJonai.
These are the plays. Look. Yanking her hair down. Oh, that's a basketball play, y'all. And tell me if you notice a common denominator. Look. Basketball play, look. Basketball play. I didn't know you can rip somebody's hair out. That's a basketball. Look. Ankle injury. That's a basketball play, y'all. Look, poke right in the eye. It's not this many basketball plays in the world. There's not this many coincidences in the world. She went up like this and came down like this and poked an eye. Knocked her all upside her head. Now she got CT. Like, this is what you call a track record. Look. Not even going for the ball. Like, come on.
But that's what DiJonai Carrington does.
And we know, and that's been part of the problem, because we've been telling y'all, this is what she does and has a track.
DJ Carrington's name has also been mentioned in similar conversations before. Her aggression with Clark has previously drawn criticism from fans, dating back to a playoff series where a similar uncalled swipe close to the face went viral for the exact same reason that this latest video is currently going viral. It continues to occur. The officiating crew on the floor continues to dismiss it in real time. And it doesn't really start a topic until someone slows down the video after the event and reveals what truly transpired. The interval between the live whistle and the verdict on the internet is starting to form its own rhythm within, rather than outside of, the broader pattern. Despite having a lower burden, millions of people were watching game after game on national television. This leads to the second part of the narrative. Because Caitlin Clark has been subtly changing the record books in real time while all of this has been happening. Her arm is getting scratched up, and the whistle is still hidden in the referee's pocket. Together with the video of her arm, this tweet has been going viral. When you compare the two, you can see why this whole situation seems so ridiculous once you actually read the numbers. Caitlin Clark has 5 of the most 3,010 assists in WNBA history. For in the entirety of WNBA history. It really isn't close, so take a moment to consider that statistic. Furthermore, there isn't much interpretation needed for this statistic. The total number of 30-point, 10-assist games played by every other player in WNBA history equals up to 4. Just Caitlin Clark has 5. She has accomplished more on her own in a fraction of the time than some of these other professions have taken over a decade or longer, more than the league's entire history has managed to amass. Over a few strong weeks, that isn't a hot streak. On a favorable schedule, that is hardly a fortunate stretch against a run-of-week opponent. At the point guard position, this sport has truly never witnessed such a degree of two-way offensive supremacy. Additionally, it was displayed while she was absorbing contact, which would make most players reconsider approaching the paint at all.
Clark now has more 30-point, 10-assist games in her career, with 5, than the rest of the WNBA has combined in league history. Let that sink in. I'm going to have a sip of coffee while that sinks in. Yeah. Yeah, by herself, she's got more 30-point, 10-assist games by herself than the entire league combined. Entire league history combined.
It also raises legitimate concerns about uniformity throughout the remainder of the league. Many WNBA guards play through contact every night, and many of them receive calls that Clark just doesn't get in the same circumstances. The majority of those players are simply playing hard, physical basketball in the manner that the league has historically rewarded them, so that's not a criticism of them. It's a question for the whistleblowers. Because it's no longer a minor officiating inconsistency if the criteria for what constitutes a foul vary according on who is getting the contact. That is an issue of fairness. Additionally, issues with justice in professional sports typically worsen rather than improve the longer they go unaddressed.
So, look at this. This is where you're like, this is loser shit. Oh, I'm going to pretend to flop. DiJonai just shoved Caitlin. She literally just walked into Caitlin and shoved her. Caitlin dribbled the ball and she just shoved her. And she just goes that. Caitlin didn't even throw her head back. And then waits for Caitlin, like, starts shit talking, throws her head back. Caitlin doesn't see her, and then goes and does it again. Like, that is the most loser shit ever. That is the most loser shit ever. Like, and the worst part is that DiJonai checked into the game while Caitlin Clark was, while Caitlin was on the bench, and DiJonai started off really well. Really well, DiJonai started. As soon as Caitlin Clark, as soon as Caitlin Clark checks in the game, DiJonai suddenly is like, I don't care about basketball anymore. I don't care about basketball. The only thing that I care about is, can I go and clip?
And if you sit with it, that's actually what makes the entire plot so difficult to ignore. This isn't a player who is quietly crumbling under the pressure of the physicality. For every bit of it, this player is being tackled, grabbed, scratched, and generally ignored. Rather than avoiding contact, she is creating the best run of 30 to 10 games in this league's history. She appears to react by dropping another 30 and 10 the following time she goes on the floor whenever a defender determines that grabbing her arm is the best course of action rather than using their feet to play defense. It hasn't worked if the intention was to physically exhaust her to the point where the production eventually stops or to irritate her into a slump. It hasn't even attempted to function. And every single week, the data support that.
Now, it is no way y'all trying to talk about Caitlin Clark shooting 13 free throws. The same people that call Asia Special Whistle Wilson the GOAT, that shoots 50 million free throws a game. The same people that glaze Angel Reese, the free throw merchant that has to flop to get points because she can't shoot free throw merchant, but Clark got 13 free throws in a loss. But also, when Angel Reese gets a double-double and has a good game in a loss, it's glazed. But when Clark has a good game in a loss, they want to shit on it and do the opposite and be the goofies that they are, man. Goofy, man. Clark is the most fouled player in the league. She got the whistle that she deserved today versus the Dallas Wings, man. She should be shooting free throws like that every single game because people just hold on to her and try to foul her all the time because there ain't no other.
Before concluding, it's important to reiterate that contrast because it truly tells the complete narrative. In 12 quarters, she made 8 non-technical free throws while defenders scratched her arm and got away with contact that would have resulted in a whistle against practically every other player in the same league. She's also going on a remarkable run in that same period of time that hasn't been equaled by the league as a whole. The league management should take a careful look at those 2 facts alone. Even now, Caitlin Clark finishes the season with a record that the rest of the WNBA put together just cannot match. She still leaves the game with the assists and the points. The marks on her arm may indicate how aggressively some players are currently attempting to slow her down, regardless of how many players they throw at her defensively. The record book provides you with precise data regarding the effectiveness of that strategy. No matter how many nights they leave her covered in scratches, the record book is now against them.
I think that the referees are in on it, meaning like I think the referees potentially being directed by the commissioner are in on really screwing with this chick and really trying to, I don't know if run her out of the league or make her look stupid or what. Am I the only one that thinks this? She's on her 6th or 7th. I think at 8 you get suspended for a game. She picked up her 8th, but then, they quickly reversed it.
All she got to become is lesbian.
Every single...
They'll quit.
Well, but what if she doesn't want to be lesbian?
Well, then she's going to have to get run off.
Additionally, there is a greater expense associated with all of this that is not shown in any box score. It's also worth mentioning explicitly. Every time a defender successfully grabs an arm hard enough to leave marks, it sends a message to the other teams in the league that guarding the best player in basketball at the moment is acceptable. Coaches also watch movies. Other coaches will begin creating defensive game plans centered around precisely that type of contact if the footage demonstrates that scratching and grabbing go unpunished. If it works and no one raises the alarm, why wouldn't they? That's how a negative behavior doesn't remain confined to a single team or player, but rather spreads throughout a whole league. And for that reason, events like this one merit greater attention than a single viral video often receives before people move on to the next plot point.
No foul called, so she could get hit, she could get assaulted, but they only call fouls if it's on her for not doing anything. That's what I've learned. Look at this. So Angel Reese could hit Caitlin Clark in the throat, but Caitlin Clark can't get near Angel Reese. What about this double standard? So she could elbow Caitlin Clark in the chest to create space, but it's a foul on Caitlin Clark, but Caitlin Clark slightly moves her arm and the girl flops, and it's a foul on Caitlin Clark. So it's all...
Thus, continue to grip, scrape, and hope that the whistle remains silent. One more quarter, one more game. One more possession. Everyone watching has already seen what occurs next thanks to Caitlin Clark. She has already demonstrated it 5 times, more than any other player in this league's history put together. After being knocked around, she stands up and repeats the action. That is the current narrative. Expect this exact same pattern to continue every time she returns to that floor, whether the whistle wants to acknowledge it or not. Until anything genuinely changes about how these games are called, it would be unreasonable to paint an entire roster of players with that brush over a few uncalled plays, and none of this is intended to imply that every hard foul against Clark is deliberate. A physical sport is basketball. Contact occurs frequently, and not all bumps or scratches are proof of malicious intent. However, the pattern ceases to be a coincidence worth discounting when it occurs repeatedly, game after game, arm after arm, and the free throw figures confirm exactly what the eye test is already demonstrating. Instead of letting it go into the next news cycle, it becomes a trend worth monitoring, discussing, and having the league office actually review.